Hey, Spence.
Yeah, Shane.
Did you watch 25 of Roger Deakins' movies in 22 days?
No.
Well, I did, and we're going to talk about it. So yeah, I watched 25 of Roger Deakins' movies in 22 days.
Can I tell you, I'm legitimately proud of you.
Yeah.
Like, you're not the biggest binger.
No, I have never even come close to a deep dive on a specific filmmaker's filmography in this way before. We've attempted it.
Yeah.
You and I have.
Yeah.
But nothing to this extent. I mean, so as we talked about last time, we got to literally meet Roger Deakins. I got him to sign some Unbleached Muzz as well as his photography book.
Byways, in store now.
In store now.
One store.
Singular store. So I was like, if I'm going to meet this dude who I idolize, I'm going to watch hit like the top 25 of his movies, like his 25 most famous movies. Now, this dude's worked on like 70 movies in his career, between music videos and documentaries and all the, and feature films and TV movies and all this kind of stuff. So I didn't go all in because I doubt very seriously I could even find it all. But I went through his like top 25 and as well as his like Oscar nominated movies. And I watched 25 of them in 22 days.
My head hurts thinking about that. Now, that being said, I've watched the whole Marvel. I've done the Marvel marathon thing twice.
Yeah.
That'll murder you.
Yeah.
But damn, dude.
Yeah. So it was definitely, it was a very rewarding experience because I hadn't seen many of the movies.
Yeah.
I think almost like half I hadn't seen before. So I got to experience a lot of new Coen Brothers movies that I had never seen and just a lot of like great movies that I wasn't aware of or, had some knowledge of, but had never actually deep dive into. So if you're willing, I'm going to go down that list and talk about each of those movies individually.
This is going to be a fascinating experience.
And so the B segment for this will be us talking a little bit more about Blade Runner 2049 specifically and at length.
Yeah.
But the A segment will very much be me talking about 25 different movies, some of which you have seen, some of which you haven't.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to kick it off, the very first one I watched was True Grit. Don't know why I started there.
I was going to say, what going in, was there an order that you thought of, or
I knew I wanted to end with my favorites or the ones that I knew I have the most feelings for.
Yeah.
So that more or less gave the order to the end. The beginning is just a random smattering of a bunch of different movies of his.
Yeah.
So I started off with True Grit. Spencer, have you seen True Grit?
I have seen True Grit. I've seen John Wayne, right?
Have you seen both?
No, I've seen both.
Yeah. I really, really like the Coen Brothers' True Grit. I think it's a good movie, and I think it's beautifully shot.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderfully shot movie and just a wonderful movie altogether.
Yeah. Great performance. Great Haley Steinfeld performance.
Yeah, like one of her first big screen performances.
At the very least, the first high profile thing, and she's Oscar nominated for it, right?
I do not remember.
I believe she was.
Should be, because I thought
incredible.
She was very, very good. I mean, and Jeff Bridges as Rooster Cogburn.
I was going to say, was that the start
iconic.
of Jeff Bridges' cowboy voice?
Oh, that was very much. It was that, and then he did fucking R.I.P.D., where he's basically just Rooster Cogburn in a weird, shitty
ghost movie.
The movie is tragic, and a tragic waste of a Rooster Cogburn.
Yeah, right. No joke.
But yeah, I mean, it's a remake of a classic, you know what I mean? But it's not even a remake because it's an adaptation of the book where the John Wayne is a loose adaptation of the book.
Yeah.
Where I think the Coen Brothers movie is much closer to to the book than the original John Wayne one. That being said, the original John Wayne one also slaps.
Yeah, great Western.
Great one. So yeah, I mean, like, what is there to say about True Grit other than the fact that it's pretty darn good?
If you haven't seen it and you're wanting to do a deep dive on Westerns, both of those are like very high on the list.
Yeah, like I think that the new True Grit is a perfect example of a modern Western.
Yep.
And the original is also a perfect example of the like 50s, 60s, 70s Westerns. Like, I mean, it's like
quintessential.
Yeah. And then the next one down the list is Hail Caesar. A movie
I don't like.
Hot take. I like that movie. I think it's fun. Is it like saying anything? I don't know. Not really. It's just kind of like a pastiche of a very specific time in Hollywood. And I really like it. I think it's like super fun and really funny and weird. And just like a quintessential like screwball comedy from the Coens. You know what I mean? Like where it's just like a bunch of different weird stunt casting of people playing just like super weird versions of 1950s, 40s and 50s stars.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, again, it's not saying anything really.
I'll fully admit I should give it another chance.
I agree with that.
I just, when I watched it, I was like, I can't remember if I had just recently watched other Coen Brothers movies, and so I was like wanting that.
Yeah.
Or if I had just like watched it cold and was like, meh.
Look, it's not No Country for Old Men. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it is.
Well, because that's a different movie. What are you talking about? They're not.
It is the polar opposite of their like more like dramatic work. Like it is like I think it is a great example of their less heralded like screwball comedies. You know what I mean? And that is like very much, and again, like I said, like I think it is a wonderful pastiche of mid-century Hollywood. I think it's super fun. It's like, it's not it's not great, but like I think it's super, and it's honest. I think that may or may not have been the last movie that Roger Deakins shot on film.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure. I could very easily be wrong here, but I don't think that. I don't think it. I'm like 90% certain.
Honestly, surprised that was shot on film.
Yeah. He's talked about how they had like issues with the film stock and stuff like that. That like that James had to go and like figure out exactly what was going wrong with the
James being his wife, the other half of Team Deakins.
Yeah. And so like. It's experiences like that make him not miss shooting on film, or it's like, with a digital camera, it's like you kind of just swap if you're having an issue, swap the body and you're probably fine.
There's a great video. I can't remember who made it or whatever. It's just an edited clips of him talking about why digital is awesome and Tarantino talking about why film is awesome and why the other doesn't, why they don't prefer the other, and it's just a little bit of him, then a little bit of him, then a little bit of him. It's a very fascinating video. Anyway, I
mean, like it and honestly, it feels like an appropriate movie to be shot on film because it's like such a throwback to that era that like shooting it on film kind of adds that layer of like, that layer of like kind of putting it in a time and place. But yeah, like hot take, Hail Caesar, not bad. I think it's fun. Look, it's not the best movie ever made, but like a ton of super fun performances and a bunch of fun stunt casting.
I'll give that one another shot.
It's at least worth another watch. Like again, like it's not going for some high grand vision, and like there's not some like hugely deep themes that are gonna change your outlook on the world. But it is like a good fun remembrance of a time gone by. So the next one I watched was Barton Fink,
movie I have not seen.
I've been wanting to watch Barton Fink for a very long time. I knew almost nothing about it other than the fact that it was like one of Coen brothers, like right as they were crossing into their like hot streak in the 90s. Because it was in 89 or 91. 91. So it's like right at the beginning of their like insane hot streak. And damn it, Barton Fink's weird and good, and I like it a lot.
Sick.
Speaking of hot streaks, I just went on like a Coen Brothers streak here.
He's worked with them a lot of times.
He's worked with, I mean, he's been like their DP outside of like a few instances, for like 30 years, basically.
Did he shoot Tragedy of Macbeth?
No, he didn't. But that also wasn't a Coen Brothers movie.
It was a Coen brother movie.
That was a singular Coen brother movie.
Yeah.
So
the other one went to go make a lesbian road trip movie that actually looks awesome. So,
the movie looks wild.
Looks insane.
I actually think at the time he was making a documentary about what freaking rock star was some like old rock star. I can't remember who it is.
Robert Rockstar. Yeah,
it was
I remember that
Robert
one.
G. Rockstar. But yeah, Barton Fink. I highly recommend it. You should watch it very soon. It is incredibly weird. It is going from it. With very little description here, going from Hail Caesar to Barton Fink feels incredibly appropriate.
Yeah.
Because they're both like, without giving away too much, they both take place in a similar time and place.
Yeah.
Including even like there is a fake Hollywood studio that is in both of those movies.
Yeah.
So it's like they very much take place, and not like, I think they're about like 10 years apart chronologically, but. They are very different views of that period in Hollywood, and are very different like takes and have a very different tone. Barton Fink is really cool and really weird. Pretty sure Barton Fink is the Coen brothers' very first collaboration with Roger Deakins was Barton Fink. Because they made it for like no money, and they needed somebody who wasn't what's the word I'm looking for? He wasn't in the American Union. They were doing it like out of union because they couldn't pay the union fees and stuff, and so they found Roger Deakins, who wasn't I don't know if he had shot anything in America at that point other than outside of maybe like documentaries or something, but I'm pretty sure that was his first American feature as well, was awesome. Barton Fink in 91.
Awesome.
Which is like super weird and super funny. I mean, yeah, like from a cinematography perspective, there isn't like a whole hell of a bunch going on until the very end. And I don't know, man. It's a good one. I highly recommend it. Like I said, going from like watching Barton Fink and then watching Hail Caesar, I think would be a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
But that being said, like I had seen Hail Caesar before, so watching Hail Caesar and then Barton Fink is definitely a weird way to watch those two movies. So yeah, that's Barton Fink. Then I watched The Man Who Wasn't There.
Movie I'm sure I had heard of it, but I hadn't heard of it,
I knew another movie that I knew like almost nothing about. I had seen like through, just knowing a lot about Roger Deakins and that kind of thing. Like I was kind of aware of it being like just a black and white movie shot by Roger Deakins. It's a Coen Brothers movie, that kind of thing. Man, that movie is like way better than like that. So to sort of describe who the man who wasn't there, describe a little bit about it. Joel Cohen did an episode of the Team Deakins podcast, and he was talking about The Man Who Wasn't There, and it was I think it was right after they shot Oh Brother Where Art Thou. He was talking to the Texas governor at the time, and she was like, so what are you working on next? And he was like, oh, it's a movie called The Man Who Wasn't There. And then she was like, okay, what's it about? And he described the movie. It's like it's about a man who's a barber who wants to be a dry cleaner. And then she responded with, "I'm trying very hard to be excited about that," which, with that description, makes it sound like a very different movie from what it is.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to go into too much detail if you haven't seen it, because it's like it's worth kind of going in cold, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that movie, it's like, again, it's like if people watch that and they didn't like it, I'd go, yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you like, I think if you watched it and you didn't like it, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
That being said, like I think there's a lot to like. I think it's like beautifully shot. I love black and white. I am a moth to the black and white flame, especially when it's shot, especially when like now in modern,
modern I was gonna
day.
say, like little trick for like up and coming filmmakers. You want to make something look a little bit more high production value, then you can. Black and white naturally does it.
Yeah.
Like black and white has this texture to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
It's the other wild part. They actually shot it on color film, and then converted to black and white after the fact.
Super random aside here, but we need to have this. I just watched Kill Bill last night. I showed it to Breck, and
Has she not seen?
She had never seen Kill Bill.
What?
So I showed her Kill Bill Volume 1. But we're watching it, and then I lean over and I was like, he had to go black and white for the Crazy 88 sequence because it would have gotten in the NC-17 rating. They shot that in color, right? And then had to post-process. Because that's what I said, because I was like, I'm fairly certain he didn't know before. So
I'm pretty sure there's a color cut. The color cut
and I was about to say, I think
Japan, right?
The Whole Bloody Affair has it in color.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Which again, the whole Letterboxd needs to take it off. People who have marked The Whole Bloody Affair have not seen The Whole Bloody Affair.
Yeah.
It's screened a couple of times, to my knowledge. Put it out, Quentin. Come on the podcast, put it out, make that the announcement.
Put it out.
You'll get all kinds of buzz from it.
Or we'll get all kind of buzz by him announcing it on our podcast.
Straight up. Anyway, I was just funny talking about that idea of shooting in film and processing it in or shooting in color and then making it black and white after the fact.
Yeah.
Interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
But
I think it is you can feel Roger Deakins stepping out a little bit outside of his comfort zone, where he really usually tries to shoot very realistically, it's there's the kind of discussion between naturalism versus realism, which whatever he tries to shoot very realistically, where he's not trying to where the naturalism argument is where he's trying to recreate the natural environment one-to-one, and realism is him trying to create a real world that is maybe slightly heightened, isn't 100% accurate, but is accurate within itself. There's verisimilitude or whatever. There is an internal consistency within a believable world that he's creating, where it's the man who wasn't there is just one step past that, where it's more noir than he's ever gone before or since. Well, I don't know about before, but definitely since. It feels like his most kind of elevated. I mean, he's shooting black and white, and it is very much like a noir story. But about a barber who wants to be a dry cleaner. Which I tried
really hard to be excited about that.
I really, really liked that one. It's not their best, but it is definitely one of their more interesting movies. I highly recommend that one for sure. And then the next one was The Big Lebowski,
which I have seen.
Which you have seen. What are your thoughts on The Big Lebowski?
I love The Big Lebowski, dude.
You'd have to be stupid, I think, to actually dislike it. If you were lukewarm on it, I'd be okay. But if you disliked The Big Lebowski,
I had built a bookcase the night y'all watched that one, and so I was moving stuff and trying to organize it. So I was back further in the house, and every time they would just say something, I would just start laughing from the dining room. I was like, man, this movie's gold.
Yeah, Megan had never seen The Big Lebowski, so that was her first experience watching The Big Lebowski.
That's a wonderful movie.
It is the
spawned a religion.
Yeah, actually, it is just the most cult. It is the epitome of a cult classic.
Truly, it is.
I mean, literally, it started a religion.
Oh God.
I mean, it's just what is there to be said about The Big Lebowski that hasn't been said? Wonderful movie.
Yeah. Jeff Bridges at maybe his best.
Definitely up there.
It's kind of I talk about this with the Seven and Fight Club with Brad Pitt, where it's I think he's his performance is so fucking good in Seven, but Fight Club is Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? That's him doing Brad Pitt.
Right.
And it's I think this is Jeff Bridges doing Jeff Bridges. He may have other performances. What?
That's so accurate.
Yeah,
that's just Jeff Bridges doing Jeff Bridges.
Make that a shirt.
It's the dude abides.
The dude abides.
I mean, it's The Big Lebowski. What else? Is there anything else you need to say?
No.
Okay, this is where I started to go back further into his less heralded work and things that I knew less about, or movies that I had seen that I wasn't as into, which In Time was the next one I saw, which was Justin Timberlake.
A movie I've only seen on FX,
which is, I feel the primary way it's ever been watched.
Yeah.
I own it on Blu-ray now, which is a weird thing to think of. In Time, I think it is a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And a wonderfully shot movie.
Yeah.
That has no idea how to do it right.
Yeah.
It's just like, did I write a review for it? I think I did. Let me see if I can find it. Because it's like, from a cinematography perspective, this movie is really gorgeous. I can see a lot of Skyfall and Blade Runner in the DNA of the look of this film. From a story perspective, man, what a waste. I really like the premise, but it's wasted on such a generic and boring story. The scenes of people sitting in rooms and talking and betting their life on a poker game are so much more thrilling than any of the generic action. Really disappointing. There's quite a bit to like, but it almost feels less than the sum of its parts. The cinematography is outstanding, but it's serving such a generic story. The production design is really cool, but it kind of doesn't make any sense. The world is interesting, but doesn't really feel fully thought through. There were so many avenues this could have taken, but it felt like every decision was made to make it as consumer friendly as possible. And I completely feel all of those things. Like, it is such an interesting premise and like an interesting world that they designed, but it's like none of it really makes any sense.
Yeah.
And all of the like set pieces are like super generic, and it's like Amanda Seyfried's character is just so like useless and unneeded. And it's just like, we need a beautiful sidekick for him to, schlep around the whole time.
Yeah.
And I really like Justin Timberlake too. You know what I mean? Like, I thought this was right after right on the heels of The Social Network.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, this guy could really act if he wanted to, and then he's in Time.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a waste, because it's like there's a lot to like about it, but like I said, like I truly feel it's less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
You've seen it, right?
Like on FX, literally.
And I mean, like anything else?
No,
that's the thing. Is like, I want to really like that movie.
It's like forgettable. Is one of those?
That is
one of those movies that's just like in one ear out the other.
That is
in one eye. Rattles around in the back of my brain and then ejects back out of my eyes.
Yeah, it's like, again, it's like there are so many of those like kind of cool sci-fi premises that get just utterly wasted on these like super generic blockbuster fare movies, which like isn't inherently wrong or bad. It just makes it a super generic movie, Yeah. And with Roger Deakins' name attached to it, it's just like a little bit more surprising. Because again, that movie's gorgeous. The movie looks so good. First movie ever shot on digital. And so I like, you can feel him kind of like flexing the digital muscles on it a little bit. Man, good one. It's like cinematography wise, it's a good one, but story wise,
yeah.
I really wanted to like that movie more than I did.
Yeah.
And then a delightful surprise in The Hudsucker Proxy,
which I still need to see.
Which
I know about the montage, which I'm like, that's my frame of reference for that movie.
We will probably make that an episode sooner rather than later, because of all of the movies that I watched, that was the one I was most excited to watch for no reason, and the one that I ended up liking the most from what I knew almost nothing about it. I was just like, I feel like I'm gonna like that movie. Like, I hardly knew anything about it. I was just like, I feel like I'm gonna like that one. And I truly believe, I truly don't understand why this movie doesn't have a cult following similar to The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Maybe not to the same level, but like the fact that this movie is like so forgotten in a way that it like is actually really sad, because it's like so like the design of the world is like really fun and kooky, and like all the characters are really like elevated and fun and funny, and like it is like such a wonderful movie, and I cannot believe that it isn't more popular than it is. It's like for a lot of these Coen Brothers movies, if you told me that you weren't into it, I wouldn't be all that surprised, because it's like I don't think the Hudsucker Proxy is a movie for everyone, but I think there is a group of people that would and should be devoted to this movie.
Yeah.
It just feels, it is just like the epitome of like the Coen Brothers comedy at its like best.
Yeah.
Which like, again, like isn't for everyone. It isn't exactly like four quadrant appeal, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that they really had like them and Sam Raimi, because Sam Raimi either co-wrote it or got a story credit on it. It just feels very them in like a really good and fun way. So I highly recommend the Hudsucker Proxy. And like I said, we will probably make it an episode sooner rather than later. And then the next one I watched was Empire of Light. Man, have you seen it?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that all that needs to be said about Empire of Light?
I'll give it just a tiny bit of color. It feels like it wants to be like 4 different movies.
Yeah.
And it's trying to tell 4 different stories, and it isn't giving any of them enough credit.
Yeah.
Especially with the weight of the stories that Sam Mendes is trying to tell.
Yeah.
Like it has some really, really, really heavy subject matter. And with that, I don't think it devotes enough time to any of it.
Yeah.
And then while also like being like a love letter to cinema, but also being about like, the skinheads in England in, the 80s, and also like mental illness, and also like interracial, relationship. It's just trying to do too much with too little.
Yeah.
I think there is a much better, smaller version, and it's not like a big movie. It's not like it has this huge cast of characters that sprawls the world. I think the storytelling, I think there's a smaller version of this movie that is infinitely better.
Yeah.
I think if it tried to focus on one of those things and then give, the other thing like a B kind of a B plot, but instead it's like it's all A plot and all of it's kind of stepping on itself.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of really disappointing because it's Sam Mendes' first like writing credit other than 1917.
Yeah.
Which 1917 feels very like, because of what the subject matter is, feels very like driven and focused and like, which,
it's kind of like, right there what it is.
Exactly. Where this one was trying to go for more subtlety. I think it was like trying to do an American Beauty, and it just isn't.
Yeah.
It just isn't that. So it's like, that being said, one of the most beautiful movies shot last year. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I was really excited for it when it was coming out, and then everyone was like, "Not good," and I was like,
"Same,
cool guys."
I love Olivia Colman. I want to give him the credit that he deserves. Michael Ward, who is like the co-star alongside Olivia Colman, phenomenal. Like I want him to have a huge career because he's a really great actor. And like honestly, like the entire cast, I think is phenomenal.
Yeah,
like, there's so much to like about this movie. The production design, gorgeous. The casting, the cinematography, the score, all of these things are wonderful. The thing where it falls apart is the story, and that's like kind of the big thing.
Yeah.
So it's like I really want to like that movie, and I think it deserves everything else about it deserves more than what it got.
Yeah.
So yeah, from a cinematography perspective, gorgeous, loved it, amazing. Then the next one I watched was A Beautiful Mind, and I had a weird experience with that one. Have you seen A Beautiful Mind?
Mm-mm.
Beautiful Mind. I had never seen it. I had some notion of what it was about, and man, that was a weird movie. I don't know if I liked it. It's it has like in my mind, it held this place in cinema history as being like really well regarded and like or at least being like award bait kind of. It kind of was. But man, that movie is strange. Me and Megan were watching it, and the first half of the movie, we're going like, what the fuck is this movie? What is happening?
Yeah.
And then there's like a shift in the middle of the movie, and you go, okay, so that's why. But that being said, the first half of the movie was like really frustrating and off-putting in a way that like me and Megan were like, look, if this goes on for like 15 minutes more, I think I might be out.
Yeah.
And then the shift happens, and you're like, okay, so that's what this movie is. And at that point I was already like pretty far gone.
Yeah.
And it's also like maybe when it comes to the cinematography perspective, maybe my least favorite Roger Deakins movie.
Fascinating.
It doesn't feel like him at all. There are these moments where it's like, like I talked about, like kind of naturalism versus realism. It doesn't feel natural or real at all in a lot of places, in a way where I'm like, and again, maybe that's part of the storytelling, but in a way that feels very not him, and in a way that like that movie just didn't work for me in a lot of ways. So that's my maybe hot take on A Beautiful Mind. I don't know. It's got a 3.8 on Breck. Gave it a 2, which feels pretty accurate if you ask me. Like 2 feels like heavy, but I did not care for that movie.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on A Beautiful Mind. And then the next one I watched was, and if I were to regret watching a single one of these movies, it would be The Reader. Because I didn't find out until I was watching the movie that he only worked on a very small part of the movie.
Yeah.
I saw that he was he got nominated for cinematography, best cinematography for that movie. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll throw that on the list. And then I was watching it, and then as I was watching it, Megan was kind of like looking it up at the same time. She's just kind of like milling around in the room. She's like, oh, did you know that he only did like part of it? I was like, what? So it turns out he was the DP for he got hired as the DP. Nicole Kidman was supposed to originally play the role that that Kate Winslet was playing, but Nicole Kidman got pregnant and then had to drop out because she was pregnant. And so Roger Deakins only shot the portions where Kate Winslet is not present for the movie. And then they had a different cinematographer come in and work on all the parts with Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet is in most of the movie.
Yeah.
There's only a very small portion of the movie where Kate Winslet is not present. So it was like, if I'm doing a retrospective on Roger Deakins' career, this is the one where he worked on the least.
Yeah.
So it felt weird, and I didn't care for the movie. It's a movie about like a romance between like a teenager and a former Nazi. She worked as like a Nazi prison guard. And it's like kind of weirdly apologetic to Nazis in a way that I'm not into at all. Like it doesn't like, I don't know. I didn't care for that movie. And if there was one movie that I kind of like actually regret watching, it's The Reader. I don't think it's like inherently like bad. Like in terms of like morally bad, I don't think it's inherently morally wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't care for it. And I don't think it is like, especially right now in today's climate.
Yeah.
I felt like this is weirdly like kind of apologetic and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So maybe skip The Reader. If you're wanting to watch a bunch of Roger Deakins movie, maybe skip The Reader. Then I watched Unbroken. You've seen Unbroken, right?
I've read the book. Yeah, I've seen the movie. I've read the book.
What are your thoughts on Unbroken? I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, so
no, you're good.
Give you some opportunity.
I think the movie's fine. Like there are things that I think are pretty good about it, and then most of it is very, very forgettable. The book is wonderful.
Yeah,
the book is actually quite good. It gets very like religious based at the end, but like for a lot of it is incredibly well written and like depicts his story as like this harrowing journey.
Yeah.
So the book I do recommend. I really like the book. The movie, it's not. You're not wasting your time watching it. Like it's fine. It's there's nothing wrong with it, but it's fine.
Here's my review. And I think, the wording on this is harsh, so be prepared. I truly hate movies like this. These unbreakable triumph of the human spirit movies. I can only take so much of, look how much awful shit this dude endured before I go completely numb to it.
Yeah. Which, and I think that's valid. Like, now I think there are movies like this that are like excellent.
Yes.
But I do like, I feel that way about that movie Into the Wild.
I haven't seen that one.
Do you know the real life story?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like not a surprise, but like you're watching this movie and you kind of just the whole movie is leading up to a thing and kind of back and forth. But like at the end, you're just like, what the fuck was I supposed to get out of this other than this dude is maybe like Why would he have done this?
Right.
Literally the whole movie is why would he have done this? And I'm like, why did I watch this?
Yeah, it's like I think there's like a balancing act where you need to kind of like shift between like this is how strong this person is and this is the reason why this person had hope. There's just none of the hope.
And I'll
part.
say that, like, in terms of look how much bad shit happens to this person. There's a movie coming up that is funnily the antithesis of that. In A Serious Man. Well, that's just that movie's just like him getting shit on for 2 hours.
Which again, like,
but that works. Like A Serious Man works.
I think part of it is the fact that like this is a real person. This really happened. Like, I'm sure there is some like agency in the storytelling where maybe things got slightly changed. That being said, this person lived through these things, and again, it's just like there's so little when it comes to like the inspiration part of it. The inspiring part is the fact that fuck, that dude finally survived. Okay. All right. But the rest of it is just so like kind of dour and hopeless in a way that is, and it's like 2.5 hours long. It's like long. It is just
an Oscar baity. Like that movie wanted to be an Oscar darling.
It's like, look, the performances are really great. Like, like there's again, like from a technical perspective, there's a lot to like about this movie. Cinematography is gorgeous. It's like, Roger Deakins being like the perfect person for shooting in harsh, broad daylight. Like there's literally, I don't think there's a single cinematographer in the world who can shoot in harsh, broad daylight like Roger Deakins.
Yeah.
Truly. There's just a way that he is able to handle that kind of light in a way that no others can. And it's like so much of this movie is them being like on the boats in the middle of the fucking ocean, or him like them being like tortured in the POW camp, and like it nobody handles light like broad fucking daylight, like noonday sun, like Roger Deakins, which was like more about noonday sun and broad daylight coming up in a couple movies. But yeah, it's like I kind of knew going in, and maybe I didn't give it the credit maybe it deserved. I don't know. I don't hate the movie. I just do hate movies like that. Where it's just like, this dude had an awful life. Okay.
Yeah.
Dope. So yeah. And then A Serious Man.
Yeah, which is like...
Which is
also
like
weirdly the same thing, but completely different and better. Like A Serious Man, that's one of the ones I watched leading up to it. I only watched a couple, but I liked A Serious Man quite a bit.
See, if you like
like
A Serious,
won me over more than like at first I was like, I don't know if I'm on board.
Yeah,
and then kind of like at the end of the first act, I was like, okay, I can get into this.
Yeah,
like,
it's like again, it's like one of those like epitome of a Coen Brothers movie. Yeah, it's just like.
Just sad guy doing stuff in life.
I can't remember. I don't remember. This is a very long time ago. I was in the car with my brother and one of his friends, and he was talking about the Coen Brothers. Where it was like, I want to be able to say this like word for word, but I don't remember. It was like, for many of the Coen Brothers filmography, like the most you can say about like the theme of the movie is, I don't know, stuff happens.
Yeah.
Like, which that is very much kind of like a lot of their movies, and specifically A Serious Man is like, I don't know, stuff happens.
Yeah.
Like, but in a way that I really like, in which feels like a very particular viewpoint from a very particular group of people. You know what I mean? Like, so I like A Serious Man quite a bit. Again, it's like Roger Deakins making everyday life kind of more beautiful than it really is, which I actually really love about how he shoots movies like this, where it's like it's all just people in houses and schools and synagogues, and at the same time it's like, why is this fucking gorgeous? Like, it's like he's able to make the mundane beautiful, while also not like taking attention away.
He's not pushing. He's
no.
He's capturing quite well.
He just has like such a loving eye of reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like his view of the real world is so beautiful,
Yeah.
And is able to capture that beauty that he sees incredibly well. And I think that's an accurate description of how he shoots movies like A Serious Man. And then I watched Revolutionary Road,
which is a movie I like a good bit.
Yeah.
The climax of that movie is great.
Yeah.
Like that scene is great.
That movie's tough, man.
It's a tough one.
That movie's tough. I knew it would be. I knew going in.
Based on a comic book.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Are you fucking serious?
I'm like 90% sure. Wait, which one did you say?
Revolutionary Road?
Sorry, I thought we were talking about Road to Perdition in my brain.
I was like, that is a very different movie.
Let's pause here. I haven't seen Revolutionary Road.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why my brain went Tom Hanks with a Tommy gun. That's the
both Sam Mendes movies.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not super far off.
That must have been where my brain went. Anyway, Road to Perdition, pretty good movie.
Road to Perdition, shot by Conrad Hall, who Roger Deakins for a long time has said like was one of his inspirations.
No, damn. All right, well.
So it's like you're super not far
still
off.
on brand then.
Yeah, still very much on brand.
I'm an idiot, but an idiot who's on brand.
Revolutionary Road. I was like, when you're talking about the climax, it was like, yeah, it's tough, man. That's a tough climax.
I haven't seen that movie, so I don't know.
Yeah. No, that movie's tough. My review for it is Leonardo DiCaprio has the most expressive jaw in Hollywood. And I truly believe that. I think what's her name? The shit. Fuck.
What is she in? What's her favorite food?
She was in fuck.
Jesus, I have no way to help you.
She's the mean boss lady from Suicide Squad. And
Viola Davis?
Amanda
Waller.
Amanda Waller. There is no actress who can more thoroughly use snot in her performances than
this is what you searched for Viola Davis for.
Yes, sir. Okay, am I wrong?
No.
She is the snottiest actress in Hollywood, and I love her for it.
Yeah.
Like truly. And I think Leonardo DiCaprio is nobody is more expressive with his jaw than Leonardo DiCaprio.
I want to go to the next movie and just leave that there.
Okay. I don't have a lot of hot takes.
Such a funny anecdote to talk about this very heavy movie on.
I think it's well shot. I don't love the movie.
Yeah.
Rango. Going from Revolutionary Road to Rango, baby.
Rango's one of the ones I watched. I had never seen it, shockingly.
Yeah.
That's a rad movie, dude.
That movie fucking rules.
Rango's awesome.
Fucking Nickelodeon really knew how to make them at that time.
My brother for a long time would just randomly go, "Hey, you want to watch Rango?" we're both in our 20s, and he's like, "You want to watch Rango?"
Hey, man. Another movie I own on Blu-ray now.
I was going to say, then I watched Rango, and I was like, oh, I get it.
Rango rules, man.
Rango's awesome.
It's like, and you can really feel Roger Deakins' like touch. You know, he was like cinematography consultant or something like that. That's how he's credited. And you can really feel his touch, man. Like you can really feel, again, like nobody really shoots in broad daylight, noonday sun like Roger Deakins. And so you can feel that kind of, his color palette, his lighting, you can really feel that in the cinematography for that movie. So I honestly, I really like Rango. I think that movie's super fun.
Good Western.
Yes. Jarhead.
Jarhead's a movie. That was an early pandemic movie for me. Right when the pandemic started and we were all in quarantine, I was like, Jarhead was on Netflix or something. And I was like, I'm watching Jarhead. And that's a heavy ass movie, dude.
Yeah.
I like Jarhead a lot though.
Yeah, I liked Jarhead more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I again, that's another movie that was like, I knew Jake Gyllenhaal was in it. I knew it was about war, and that was about all I knew. And man, of all the like kind of truly anti-war movies, like Jarhead is up there when it comes to like actually being an anti-war movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like a movie like Spielberg,
Saving Private Ryan.
Like Saving Private Ryan, like you could make the argument that it isn't an anti-war movie. You could make the argument that like it very much is, because like it's very much about the valor of these men that put their lives on the line. There is no valor to be found at all.
That's the point of Jarhead, is that like they're just doing nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My review for the movie is, war seems pretty chill, actually. Think I might kick it in the next one.
Damn.
Yeah, no. Like I think of all of the movies of all the war movies, like there are very few that I think are like more anti-war than Jarhead.
You haven't seen, just let me confirm. I'm not gonna. Yeah, Paths of Glory.
Yeah.
That movie will make you want to vomit.
I'm not saying there aren't
No,
any.
but I know what you mean, but like,
You know, like I saw All's Quiet on the Western Front, where it's like where war actually happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are some that I think are incredibly anti-war, while also showing the people in the in the trenches and that kind of thing.
But my point for bringing Paths of Glory is I think that's like one of the great anti-war films,
Yeah.
and I think Jarhead could be up there in that conversation of
Come and See is the other.
Come and See. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I know that's like a famously devastating movie.
I think there's a short list of movies that are like
truly great.
Yeah.
Anti-war films.
Where it's like, I don't think Jarhead is like in the upper echelon of cinema. But what I do think is like, it is incredible. If your goal is, if you've got a son that wants to be in the army and your goal is to make him not want to be in the army, I think Jarhead is on that list.
Yeah.
Especially for like modern war. Like modern era.
Modern, yeah.
I don't think there's a better movie.
No.
No. Like, I think that movie is really, really interesting and like not what I expected at all. It also feels like very separate and different from so much of Roger Deakins' other films. Like it feels very different, and like it's like basically all handheld, and like like he's not afraid of handheld, but it is like very specifically all handheld.
Yeah.
It feels very different from a lot of his other work. That being said, again, there's no better cinematographer out there, I think, that to shoot in broad fucking daylight.
Yeah.
And damn it, that entire movie, with very few exception, is in the beating broad daylight sun.
Yeah.
I mean, the sequence with the oil burns.
Yeah.
Insane. Like that sequence is insane. To hear the behind the scenes where they were I can't remember who he was talking to. But there's a behind the scenes story that Roger Deakins said where they were like, so how long did you spend in Tunisia or wherever? It's like, they were like, we were in Santa Monica. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like because they were like so like like it's like he sold the look of that so well.
Yeah.
And I think like they're talking about the pyrotechnics in the movie. They were like, ooh, what was it like working with those pyrotechnics? It's like, that's CG.
Yeah.
The pyrotechnics that like they shot one burst of flame. The rest of it is all actual lights.
Yeah.
That motherfucker, I swear,
so
he's
good,
so fucking good. Jarhead. That was a surprise. I liked that movie more than I thought I would. Like legitimately. Yeah. I thought it was going to be more like oorah than and it is very not oorah.
No.
Fargo
I've seen once. Great movie.
Yeah.
Like, I need to watch it again because I feel like I don't remember a ton of it. But great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
It is really interesting to hear Roger Deakins talk about the kind of the time period that he went through with the Coens. Because first they shot Barton Fink, then they did Hudsucker, and then they did Fargo. And so to hear him talk about so with Hudsucker, it's like very wide angle, very kind of exaggerated, and like kind of again like kind of elevated in a way that a lot of his like kind of more modern cinematography like kind of isn't. And then they talked, when talking with the Coens, they were like, Hudsucker was like this kind of elevated world that we want to create. We want this one to feel a little bit more like kind of like a docu-reality kind of thing. Literally starts with the opening line of like, this is based on a true story. The names and whatever have been changed, whatever. And so it's like shot on longer lenses and like shots are held for longer and like just feel like with the idea of making it feel like even more real than, kind of doing the polar opposite of what they did with Hudsucker. And in that context, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
That being said, Fargo isn't based on anything at all. It's completely not completely. Like apparently it's like kind of a mishmash of different stories that they heard growing up in Minnesota. And so like it's kind of based on a true story, but really not at all. So it's like it's really funny to like for them to be like the unreliable narrator from the jump.
Yeah.
It's just being like, this is a lie, but it's also true.
Yeah.
I think that movie is phenomenal. It's like one of the most famous Coen Brothers movies ever.
For good reason.
For good reason, because it's a fucking great movie. It's a classic, hilarious and horrifying.
Yeah.
Classic. I mean, is there anything else that needs to be said about fucking Fargo? I feel like that's a lot of what's about to happen. So Fargo, and then Oh Brother Where Art Thou,
which is brilliant. I fucking love that movie.
That movie's so fucking good. It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just the ingenuity, I guess, to take Homer's Odyssey and put it in Depression era South.
Yeah.
Is like such an interesting take and such an interesting way to spin that story.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And I love that movie. Man, it's funny. I don't think I've seen Oh Brother Where Art Thou that many times. I really don't think I have. And I haven't seen it in several years. And watching that movie, I literally could remember basically every word of that fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like every single line in that movie is iconic.
Yeah. It's also the first movie ever color graded beginning to end.
Is it the first one ever, or is it the first
one ever beginning to end? The whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, they had done color correction and color grading before, but it was the first movie completely graded.
I knew there was some asterisks required for that. So I knew it was definitely early in that process. I didn't realize it was the first one beginning to end.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Yep. And used. It's so funny. It's because you look at it at if I were to really put a fucking microscope up to it, I could be that would be a little bit different and or quote unquote better now with modern technology.
Yeah, but
it's
it still looks incredible.
It still looks incredible and it still works so well.
I say it fits the movie.
Yeah. I mean, just that sepia tone that's placed over the entire movie while not being garish. You know what I mean? I absolutely love the look and feel that adds to it. It really, again, really throws it into that time and place. Which is funny because I wonder if Roger Deakins now would make the same choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel in his later years he's gotten even further and more down the rabbit hole that is his kind of take on realism.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he would make that same choice now. Now look, I'm pretty sure that was a Coen Brothers choice to add that kind of sepia tone to it. But I'd be fascinated to know if he would make that same choice today. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a fucking classic, man.
Great goddamn movie.
Great goddamn movie. Into another great goddamn movie, but very different. Prisoners.
Prisoners is one of my favorite movies, I think.
Yeah.
I fucking love Prisoners.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't like that movie that much.
Wrong.
And I'm I don't know, guys. It's kind of amazing. What are we talking about?
I don't know how you could
dislike that. I know.
Yeah,
the tree shot.
The fucking tree shot, man. The tree shot. What does it mean, dude?
Anyway, that's a movie I laid curled in my bed shaking. I was like, "Oh my god, it's so good."
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think it's perfect.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that movie. Beautifully shot. Again,
great performances.
Wonderful performances. Denis Villeneuve fucking doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His first Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
I listened to the Team Deakins episode with Denis talking about, and he talked about he was really scared of what the Hollywood system was going to do to because he was he went in there just to have the meeting and be I am a art house filmmaker and I had a meeting with Hollywood executives.
Yeah.
I did it. I have that validation to know I could go into a meeting and hold my own and not feel like I have to bow down to their wants and needs, and I'm going to say exactly what I feel. And if I don't get the movie, I don't get the movie. That's fine. And then he had the meeting, and then he got the call from his agent being okay, they want to do it. It's and he was wait, what?
Yeah,
no, wait, really?
Oh shit, now I got to do this. Okay, Jake Gyllenhaal, is he available?
And hear him talk about the fear that he had that because coming from the Canadian film industry, that's much more very much more artistic focused and is the programs that he was working in were they only give out funding to a certain amount of movies, and they only give a certain amount of funding. And then then you go to basically what is the polar opposite, and the Hollywood film industry was talked about being very nervous. But then the experience of working on that movie was just such a pleasure.
Yeah.
While also making one of the toughest fucking movies ever.
Yeah. So that has one of my favorite endings in any movie ever. That fucking ending is so good.
Yeah. I think Roger Deakins is so good at capturing not necessarily the reality that we live in, but a reality. Mm-hmm. And it is just so perfectly internally consistent and also beautiful.
That movie is the best example of that, in all honesty. It's just 100%. It's so what it is, and does not ever, another movie I love, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the David Fincher one. Yeah, that has a moment or two where all of a sudden it goes shaky cam, and you kind of you're like, whoa, okay, none of that shit, and almost any of Deakins' work, and I just mean that breaking, you're talking about that internal consistency. Yeah, it's that. Prisoners is one of those technically perfect movies. It's crazy. It's
Roger Deakins talks a lot about if you notice the cinematography, I have failed as a cinematographer. And this is one of those, and the only reason I'm talking about his cinematography at all is because the focus of this exercise was to focus on his cinematography. But this is one of those movies where it's you just fall right into the movie in the worst way.
It's that shot where he's trapped in the shower, and you see the light just and you can't even quite tell what you're looking at. It's so fucking good. Goddamn.
That movie is,
I love Prisoners.
Perfect. I absolutely love that movie. And then we go into Shawshank.
It's arguably one of the great movie, arguably the great movie. You know what I mean? It's one of the most movies to ever movie.
That's a movie ass movie.
That's a movie ass movie, dude.
That's a movie ass movie. Yeah. I don't think I've seen that on the big screen, and god damn it, I need to.
I have. I saw that and The Shining one night after each other. They both came through, and I saw the Shawshank Redemption, then went and saw The Shining the next night.
Two of the most movie ass movies.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah. It is so. There's another kind of behind the scenes story that I hear Roger Deakins tell is, so he shot the movie. He got nominated for the Oscar, and he was at, the American Cinematographer Society clubhouse, and he overheard two other cinematographers talking about the movie, being if all I did was use natural light, maybe I would have gotten Oscar nomination too. And he goes, and to himself, he's like, there's hardly any natural light in that movie. They had to, the way he describes it is we had to rent every HMI on the East Coast to light that fucking movie. So everything that you see inside the prison and all that kind of stuff, that's lit to hell. Yeah. There's lights all over the place. Cause there's only a very short amount of time where they got good natural light in those buildings. Otherwise it was completely lit to all hell. Yeah. So it's just hilarious for them to be well, yeah, if I only used natural light, maybe I would get a, nomination too. It's no, we had to rent every HMI on the East Coast. Yeah. Which is just
so
such
good.
A funny fucking anecdote.
Yeah.
And again, it feels that's the thing is and that was the thing, he took it as high praise because it feels natural. Yeah. It doesn't feel he had to rent every fucking HMI on the East Coast. It's it feels so natural. No part of it's nothing feels sourcey about that movie. Yeah. Except for when it's a practical, you know what I mean? Except for when it's a lamppost, when it's the young guy and the warden standing outside, and they just have the lamppost, or only when it's supposed to feel only when it's a practical does it ever feel sourcey at all. Yeah. Every other time, the entire rest of the movie feels so natural, so naturalistic.
Completely.
God damn it, that movie's so fucking good. If you're listening to this podcast and you haven't seen Shawshank, what the fuck are you doing?
If you're listening to any film-related podcast at all,
get the fuck out of here.
You
Go
haven't
watch
seen
the fucking
fucking
movie,
Shawshank Redemption, you're an idiot.
Sicario.
That Sicario is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah, I have a hard time talking about that movie because it's so brilliant. It just becomes a rabbit hole where you're just one thing leads to the next, and the next, and the next, and you're talking about fuck. The last scene of that movie is another one of the great film endings.
Yeah.
Denis knows how to close a movie.
Denis knows how to do everything. Yeah. He's a phenomenal filmmaker.
Yeah.
Hasn't made a bad one yet.
No, really hasn't.
Can't fucking wait for Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2 is going to be so fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, Sicario, like, literally, like, you know, it's funny, like, the best review I've ever seen for any movie ever is for Sicario. And it said, the review is, God said, let there be light. And Roger Deakins said, wait for my cue. That is such a fucking wonderful fucking review for this movie.
Fucking awesome.
It's like, I mean, like, again, nobody fucking shoots in broad fucking daylight like Roger Deakins. And so much of this movie is in daylight, in sun. And those, you know, the obviously the shots of, you know, the sunset going into the darkness.
Yeah. They're like Descent into Hell.
Yeah.
Fucking
it's like
best
that
movie
shot
ever.
even feels like it's almost like abstract almost.
Yeah.
You know, the clouds are like black against this beautiful sky as they just like descend. It's like almost abstract in this like wonderful, beautiful way. Fuck off. That movie is so good.
I love Sicario. The Juarez sequence is one of the best example of tension ever.
Jesus. Yeah.
Like the tension and the explosion at the end is like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Love Sicario.
Phenomenal.
That's like an early foundational movie for me,
Truly.
honestly.
Yeah. No,
like,
I mean, that one's top for me as well.
yeah.
Then 1917. God damn it. That's a good movie.
Yeah. It definitely is helped by like the theatrical experience, I think.
100%.
Like I've seen it twice. I saw it in theaters and IMAX like early on in its run. And then I saw it again, and I was in a class called Cineskype where you screen a movie and then they bring somebody who's been at the movie for a Q&A, and he was the VFX supervisor on it. So it was really fascinating with his Oscar literally sitting in the background. We were all like, fuck you. He was super nice, dude. He also worked on like Lord of the Rings and stuff, so we talked about all that kind of whatever. It's that's a great movie. I mean, it is a great movie. The sequence where he's running at the end out of the trench is like breathtaking. That's a fucking achievement in and of itself. Like,
I mean, the magic trick that this movie pulls of the, you know, the oneer, the entire movie oneer, is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's like I can see a lot of the seams. Yeah. But I guarantee there are seams that I'm like, that was a seam? Really? Like,
there's only one that I don't like. And then the rest of them I think are phenomenally done.
Oh, don't get me wrong, they're great. Like the average person would not be able to tell. I just know the trick. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, just like and for so many of these movies where it's like the oneer movies, it's like this one feels so integrated.
They found a thematic reason to do it. It was really nice.
Yeah, just absolutely phenomenal. Like from that perspective, from like a cinematography and like camera work perspective, phenomenal. Yeah, like the way that they are able to frame and block these sequences to make them to tell the story and also to make them as cinematic as possible, I think it's just like insane. Like the amount of work and planning that went into those sequences and went into that entire film. Phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure.
Very, very, very much deserving of the Oscar for cinematography for that one. Then Skyfall. The best Bond movie ever made.
The best looking Bond movie ever made.
The best Bond movie ever made.
This has been a debate for years.
Look, if you said Casino Royale is the best one, that's fine. You're wrong, but that's fine. I'm just kidding.
I fucking love Casino
They're
Royale.
both the right answer, honestly. They're both the right answer.
Look, there's no qualm here on the visuals. The visuals of Skyfall are like fucking unreal.
I also love the story,
good.
but
no, don't get me wrong. The story's great. I just like Casino Royale more. I like the more like, I don't know. That movie has a bit of like grit to it that was new at the time for Bond.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've just always really connected to Casino. I like that movie's like several different things within itself. You know what I mean? Like there's all the different sequences and like, I don't know. I fucking love that movie.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that Skyfall is basically kind of like a different take on a Bond movie. You know what I mean? It's like to hear Sam Mendes and to hear Roger Deakins talk about it, they were like, they didn't think of it as a Bond movie. Yeah. They thought of it as a movie about a man who has been who society has moved past the need for, but is still working anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to hear them talk about why they decided to work on that project and like what got them excited and like it is fascinating and makes me like that movie even more than I already did.
Yeah.
And it was already my favorite Bond movie. Best Bond song of all time. There's no disagreement there.
No.
Like truly the best Bond song ever made.
Yeah.
Other than one that wasn't actually used, but we won't get into that discussion.
Look up that story, guys.
And then No Country for Old Men. This was the last one that I watched before the actual screenings that we went to.
That is a movie that I desperately want to watch again because I've only seen it once.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant. Like it's
one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Like
Best Picture winning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It won over There Will Be Blood.
Which is a controversial thing, I'm sure.
Yeah, but that being said, they're both like two of the best movies ever fucking made.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, you know what I mean? Like I can give, if there was any other movie that would win over There Will Be Blood and at that time period, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that being said, I fucking love No Country for Old Men. Like literally like one of my favorite movies ever. Cinematography is phenomenal. Like just like like capturing.
Oh yeah.
Getting into our Fargo real quick. I mean, again, like I've said 15 times already, like nobody captures broad fucking daylight like Roger Deakins. And god damn it, well, I get like we said a couple of, what the fuck is there else to be said about No Country for Old Men? It's
one of the great movies.
It's just like
you
one
should
of the
probably
best movies
see
ever.
it.
Yeah, movie's fucking good. So the one after that, that was when we went to the book signing and got the live intro from Roger Deakins, from James Deakins, for The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford.
Yeah.
If you'd like to hear more about our thoughts on that movie, go watch it and then go listen to the podcast we did last time.
Yeah.
And then the movie after that, where they did a screening of Blade Runner 2049 with a Q&A with Team Deakins after the fact.
Yep.
Blade Runner 2049 is literally in my top 4 favorite movies on Letterboxd. I think it is, like, I desperately love the original Blade Runner, and I think Blade Runner 2049 is even fucking better.
I like Blade Runner. I like Blade Runner quite a bit. I think 2049 is like one of the great films.
Yeah.
Period. Like hard stop. I think that movie is so fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
And is doing so much and you notice almost none of it because you're so fucking wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
Like, it takes watching that movie a couple times to like really dive into what it's doing.
Yeah.
So good. God damn it.
Yeah.
I love Blade Runner 2049.
So one thing that was said during the Q&A that I thought was fascinating was Roger Deakins talked about how he doesn't think Blade Runner 2049 is a sequel to Blade Runner.
I think they all said that. Like
Denise
said it. They're just like, no, it's not a sequel.
But it is. Like
No, it is.
Like visually, not at all.
Yeah, what I think that's what they meant is they went like, no, we're not. There's no obligation to the original. I think is what they meant. They're like, it's not a sequel in that it's like a direct continuation of everything. Like, there's a lot that happened in between these things, and then we pick up a story from those ashes. You know, like I think that's what he was talking about more than like. No, the stories don't connect. It's like no, the stories connect. It's just it's not a sequel in that. We don't have to shoot it like the original. We can take liberties. It can be about very different things.
Yeah.
Like, because they're about very different things. They live in the same spaces and they overlap, but both are like distinctly about something different. I think for me, like in how I watch these movies.
Now, I think that means I think they're about very similar things.
Yeah,
but they're told so differently.
Yeah. Okay, maybe that's a better way to put it.
And I mean, from a cinematography perspective, from kind of like a world perspective, they're quite different. Mm-hmm. But to say that they like aren't because that was like the wording that he used was like it's not a sequel.
Yeah,
and I was like, dog, how?
Yeah, you're like, hey, yo, blood, what?
Raji, what? Like,
Raj, come on,
hey, come on. What do you mean? It's not
what are you talking about? It's a sequel.
So I have kind of like. And let me see if you agree with this. Like I've said, like Roger Deakins very much tries to the way that he approaches cinematography is very much from a realism perspective.
Mm-hmm.
He's very much trying to create a reality, and I think he definitely achieves that with Blade Runner 2049. That being said, the reality that he's creating is, a cyberpunk future where, the year 2018 there were flying cars and, through that lens, is it just like a little sad that this was the very first movie that he won an Oscar for, where it is like his most flashy? Because like it's all neon and bathed in color and like, flying cars and, you know what I mean? Like it's his most flashy, not because from a cinematography it's flashy. It's just because like there's the palette that he has is so much wider than his like, realism palette of the real world. Do you think it's like a little sad that this is his very first Oscar, or do you think it feels appropriate?
No. I don't think it's sad because of what you said earlier. It's like he's not creating reality, he's creating a reality.
Yeah.
And to the scale of the reality he creates in this movie is profound.
Yeah.
Like profound and varied and subtle. It's like, I think that's okay, and I think that's what he would want. You know what I mean? Is like,
but on the flip side of that is like the other realities that he is creating are all of those things as well. They're just so much more subtle.
Yeah,
like this is a less subtle movie because it's a cyberpunk.
But I'll also throw out it's like one of the prettiest movies ever. You know what I mean? And so it's like if this one didn't win, it would be nuts. Now that you can say that about 90% of his movies.
And that's what I'm saying is like, I feel like so many of his other movies are so much more subtle.
Yeah.
While also being fucking perfect.
Yeah.
But they just aren't flashy in the way that this one is. Not because he's doing something that he wouldn't have done before. Again, he is creating that reality.
Yeah.
But the reality that he's creating is infinitely more flashy because it's fucking neon and cyberpunk and
Let's ask him. Our close personal friend Raj. Let's
and look, he would say, I don't give a fucking shit about awards, so that doesn't matter to me at all. He clearly could not care less about winning the Oscars and that kind of thing. If he that's the thing is like if he wanted to win the Oscar, he could have years ago. You know what I mean? If that's what he was going for. But one of my favorite things about him is when he talks about his craft. He talks about it not as a technician, but as a storyteller.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
I absolutely love that. Because it's very easy to get into the nitty gritty, nerdy details of how things are made, and he is willing to have those conversations. He likes those conversations. He's got, his website and so much of his, these Q&As and all this stuff that he does is devoted to those conversations. But at the same time, those conversations always start and end with story.
Yeah, what is the character demanding?
Exactly.
What's the script say? You know what I mean?
I love that. I love that with the way that he talks about that.
In Alexander McKendrick's book on filmmaking, there's this quote about the philosophy of who you want on your set is essentially what it's about something else, but like that's kind of the aside in there. And he's talking about a carpenter on one of his movies, and somebody asked that carpenter once. They went, "Oh, what is working with Alexander McKendrick like?" He's like, "Oh, Sandy, he's worked on a couple of my movies." The carpenter took so much ownership of the movie that he considered it his own.
Yeah.
That is like fundamentally changed who I like to work with.
Yeah.
I hate working with people who are like, whatever you want, you're the director. It's like, no, if you fucking fully disagree with me and you think it's important, let's have the discussion.
Yeah.
It's like, you have not thought about this as much as me. I promise you haven't, because I'm directing the thing.
Yeah.
I have thought about this for 1,000 hours longer than you have.
Yeah.
But
if you're the one,
if you're the one
making the cabinet,
if you're making the cabinet and you know that it's gonna look better because this, that, and the other, and you make cabinets every fucking day.
If you
say
know
something,
if you know that cabinet says something about that kind of person that would have that cabinet, tell me that.
Tell me that, so I'm aware. And then the worst that'll happen is like, no. But for me, as like a creative person, I fucking love that. Yeah. I want everyone to feel like they have some ownership over, like buy into the vision, but feel like it's something they could be proud of.
Yeah.
Because I don't like working on stuff I won't be proud of. You know what I mean? Like I have a fundamental. I sat out of shows and like theater shows in high school because I was like, I don't
Yeah.
I'm not going to get anything out of this. I'm not going to grow as a creative person.
Yeah.
I've started scripts where I was just like, you know, like I just don't want to, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you get something out of every project you do. And I just like, I love that he does that.
Yeah.
Because that to me is like fundamental to being a creative person.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, just like, and another thing that it's like, how is this motherfucker getting better?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how is he getting better and growing and changing and like he's in his 70s, you know what I mean? Like, and he's still
makes
like,
you a little mad, right?
It's like there are other cinematographers, filmmakers, writers, whatever, where it's like you can kind of feel that like uptick of them like getting better, and then kind of like plateauing and kind of, or even, you know, going down. But it's like with him, it's like he's only getting better. He's only making things, only like honing his craft to like the sharpest possible point.
Yeah.
He talks about, I can't remember the cinematographer's name, but it's a Japanese cinematographer. I'm pretty sure he's the cinematographer who worked a lot on Kurosawa's movies. He talked about, you know, when I first started out, I used 50 lights to shoot a scene. And then now I've got it to like 10 or 15. I want to get it down to 1.
Yeah.
And just that idea of like honing your craft to like the sharpest possible point. And he talks about that I'm quoting Roger Deakins, quoting that, you know, quoting that other cinematographer. It's like, but looking at his career through that lens, it's like, I see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he is clearly only ever wanting to work on things that interest him, things that move him, things that challenge him. And he also wants to work with people that he likes. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason he keeps working with Denis, with Sam Mendes, with the Coens. Yeah. It's like, because he likes those people and they make movies that interest and challenge him.
Yeah.
And God damn it, I fucking love Roger Deakins for that.
You beautiful son of a bitch.
Beautiful son of a bitch.
Yeah, man.
Any lessons outside of what we
I was
just
like, I
talked
think
about?
we just covered it, right?
Yeah.
Like the breadth of a career, like, you know what I mean? Like so much, but like I said, that fundamental, like, surround yourself with the people who care enough to question you. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
Like, and not question you in the wrong way. Like, you can't have people who are going to sit there going, oh, if you shifted this 2 feet to the left, it would be so much fucking better, right?
Right.
Like, you need people who are going to take the time to go, and then you get to make that decision as the director.
Yeah.
Like, or the cinematographer or the first AD or whatever. Like, those are the people I like working with, and I think Deakins does too.
And there's a reason why his podcast is Team Deakins. There's a reason why all these things are Team Deakins. And it's not just him and James. It is the entire creative team that he surrounds himself with that have those conversations. Challenge him on ideas and bring things to the table outside of just like we joked earlier about the shot of the tree in Prisoners. It's like I don't fully remember the story, and maybe you might remember better than I would. I'm pretty sure it wasn't his idea. I'm pretty sure it wasn't in neither Denise or Rogers. I'm pretty sure it was like the second AD or something like that. I'm super misquoting this. Go look it up yourself, please.
And if you're questioning what the tree shot is, watch that movie. You'll know.
Watch that movie.
It's
like, I'm pretty sure it was someone else's idea, and they were just like, fucking roll on it. Like let's do it. Like, and so it's like those kinds of things. I completely agree. I think are incredibly important.
But yeah.
And then like my big takeaway is kind of the difference between naturalism and realism. You know what I mean? Like, because again, like he's not trying to create the real world as it is. He's trying to create a reality, whether it's heightened or not. As long as there's internal consistency with the way that you're shooting it, as well as how it fits the narrative, how it fits the story, the characters. Yeah. Like as long as those things all congeal, you're doing something right. Yeah. And then also, like, you know, everything going back to story and character. Yeah. Like if the decisions you're making as a cinematographer only lead to character and story, then you're doing something right. Yeah. Now I think there is like the flip side of this, of kind of the Quentin Tarantino, like, you know, film, like being like the grain of the film and the imperfection is part of the character of the movie. Yeah. I think is like a different way to look at that. But again, it's like, as long as you're talking about those imperfections, those things being a part of the story that you're telling, and being integral to that story, if that is the decision you make as a filmmaker, you're still making the right decision.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it for the sake of, oh, well, it looks cool, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, like you and I have talked about, like, when you were in film school and you were working with some of the other, like, camera department people, and, like, where they were, like, only trying to make things look cool.
Yeah.
That didn't work for the story.
And when you watch those things, you're like, that's a really cool shot, dude. Why is it here?
Yeah.
Like, for me, I'm so fundamentally about, like, what, like, I don't think of the shot first.
Yeah.
I think of what's in the character's head.
Yeah.
Or if it's more external than that, I think of what is the character, what is he doing? How do I want to cover that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like, I have currently in my head a lot of, like, really weird visual ideas and motifs, but all of them are related to similar characters in similar moments.
Yeah.
Because I think that's an interesting way to capture that moment. Not just go, oh, if we push in and we kind of have the camera spin a little bit, it'll be really, it's like we go over the couch or whatever. It's just like, no, the couch is there for, this is an actual fight we had once. Not you and I, you and me together on a team.
Yeah.
People wanted to push over the couch, but it's like, no, the couch is the barrier between the two opposing forces. It's like, you don't want to push over the couch. That's there for a reason.
Yeah.
It was literally something we talked about, was rotating our characters around that couch, bringing them from opposite sides to on to opposite again. Like, we rotated that room.
Yeah.
Something that was very specifically talked about. And then people jumped and went over our heads and tried to change it. We were like, no. Yeah. We want the couch there. That's a whole fucking thing. But
just that day, there was a lot of that day.
Yeah, there was a lot that day. Jesus.
They were just like, let me just throw this out. I was like, what the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Get out of
Yeah.
Anyway,
so that's I'm very proud of that project, and we're coming along nicely on it.
Yeah. But yeah, Roger Deakins. That dude knows how to make a fucking movie, and I love him dearly. And I will always love him. And he'll hold a special place in my heart, and I just want to give him a big wet kiss. For you, Reggie.
For you, Raj.
Come on the pod.
Come on the pod. You have one. We have one. We're basically the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've had my wife on the podcast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Recommendations?
Mine is a new movie. It has nothing to do with Roger Deakins, but I haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, that movie is so good. I've seen it twice now. One of the most let me rephrase it. The most breathtaking animated film I've ever seen by far.
Hands down.
Not even a question.
Hands down.
That includes the first one, which was probably the other most breathtaking animated movie I've ever seen. I having seen it twice, I still think I like Into the Spider-Verse more.
Yeah.
But holy fuck, Across the Spider-Verse is like a brilliant undertaking. It's so emotional and so fucking gorgeous, and it sounds so good.
Yeah.
Like, makes your spine tingle. Love that movie.
Yeah.
I'm there's some controversy around the working conditions on it right now, so I don't want to commend.
Ooh, yeah,
I don't want to commend that at all, and I want to say bad to that.
Crunch bad.
Especially when you had 5 years to make this movie anyway.
No fucking joke.
So that bad, but that movie.
Phil Lord boo a little bit.
Yeah, that movie is truly a breathtaking example of what you can do with not only animation but just cinema in general.
Yeah.
Like
with imagery,
yeah, like how much you can sell with just pictures.
Yeah,
which is like sad that we have to remind ourselves of that all the time. Yeah. But anyway, that's my recommendation. I fucking love that. Also, Kill Bill, because I watched it the night before recording this, and that I haven't seen it in a while, and that movie fucks. Anyway, recommendation?
I got two. Both I saw in the theater recently. The first one is Asteroid City.
Yep.
Asteroid City is a delightful little movie.
Yes, it is.
It is a Wes Anderson movie.
Yep.
And I really like Wes Anderson. So if you like Wes Anderson and you like Wes Anderson movie, you'll like this one. It's good.
Yep.
Is it? I don't know. Like I was about to say, is it super deep? I don't know. It's not a little deep.
It's got stuff in there that's
stuff to
that's
say.
sneaky.
I agree. I think it is. I think it's sneaky with what it's trying to say. I really liked it. I highly recommend it.
Oh, yeah.
Go watch it. It is definitely worth seeing in a theater at the very least.
For sure.
Do I think it's everybody's cup of tea? No, fuck you. Go watch it in the theater anyways.
Yep.
It's worth it.
Truly.
Every actor you've ever liked is in this movie.
Oh,
So-
the time of Jason Schwartzman, by the way. Literally, you and I went and saw Scott Pilgrim versus the World at the Alamo movie party. He was in Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse and Asteroid City. So at that night in the Alamo Draft House, there were 3 Jason Schwartzman movies playing at the same time.
I love it.
It's
I
awesome.
love it.
So good.
Shout out to Jason Schwartzman.
This summer of Schwartzman.
The Summer of Schwartz. And then the other one is a short film called I Bet You're Wondering How... I'm going to fuck this up. I Bet You're Wondering How I Got Here, which is a short film made by local DFW filmmaker Ryan Polly. They did a screening of the short, like a friends and family screening of the short before they, put it up for festivals and that kind of thing. And it was a wonderful experience. It is a wonderful short film. If it is in the film festival circuit and it comes to a film festival near you, I highly recommend prioritizing going and seeing it because it's wonderful. And hopefully very soon we will see the feature because there's a feature that they wrote for it. And I would love to see a feature-length version of this. I mean, it's very, very nice guys in a way that I like love.
I didn't go to this. I was gonna. Something came up. I couldn't go. But you and I met Ryan Polly at the Roger Deakins thing.
A wonderful human being.
Weirdly, we met him outside and then sat next to him by coincidence in the theater, and he was a lovely guy.
He is so nice and so kind, and like I was just like kind of fangirling, and he was very patient.
No, dude, I think you were just chill.
Was I chill?
You literally were like, "You're Ryan Polly, right?" And I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Thanks, dude. Y'all here at this?" And you're like, "I'm here because you posted about it."
Yeah.
And he was like, awesome.
So shout out to you, Ryan. This one goes out to you. The reason I saw the Roger a weekend with Roger Deakins was because he posted about it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ryan Polly. Had it not been for you, I may not have been able to fucking meet one of my heroes.
Yeah.
So,
and make one of his heroes laugh.
And also sign some Unbleached Muzz.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ryan Polly. Shout out. As I said, if I Bet You're Wondering How I Got Here is in a film festival near you, prioritize seeing it because it's wonderful. And say a little prayer. Or, hey, if you're a major Hollywood, or if you're a major studio, or you just have millions of dollars you want to spend on a movie, give it to Ryan Polly. Or, well, me too. I will also take the money. Yeah. But give it to Ryan Polly to go make.
Yep.
I Bet You're Wondering.
Me and then Ryan.
And then Ryan. So me first. I've got some ideas. Yeah. Some cool ones. But also, like I said, absolutely wonderful. Can't wait to see the feature that will inevitably come true. But yeah, so Asteroid City, I Bet You're Wondering How I Got Here. Across the Spider-Verse, literally 25 other fucking movies.
Yeah.
So you have a lot to watch, as I did. You have a lot to watch. So go watch that stuff. Or don't. I don't know. Live your life.